Katie and Tanisha, thank you so much for chatting with us today. For those who don't know what the Rez Dog Networking Conference in Winnipeg is, can you tell us more about the event and who some of the speakers will be?
Hi, yes, so we're hosting the Rez Dog Networking Conference this week at the Victoria Inn. We have about 140 people registered from 24 different nations across Canada, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, BC, some in Northern Ontario. We also have 12 rescues and shelters registered. And this conference is to bring together anybody that has a love for Rez dogs or is interested in helping provide resources and support for community-led programs across Canada.
Can you talk about some of the discussions that will take place at this conference for Rez dogs or dogs in First Nations?
Yes, so we're really excited that we're bringing together people from all across Canada to speak about specific issues regarding Rez dogs. Some of the topics will be about how to work together with non-Indigenous and Indigenous people to support community-led programs, how to get more resources and funding into areas that need it most. And basically just how to alleviate a lot of the suffering that goes on in these remote communities, as well as some of the barriers that Indigenous people face when trying to care for their animals.
And my next question is for Tanisha and Katie. Maybe both of you can kind of answer this one. Can you list off some of the concerns people in the community have for dogs in First Nations?
I've worked on a few reserves in Alberta now, and it seems to be the most likely ones are when dogs pack up, they become a big safety risk to members. Kids are afraid to walk to school, they're afraid to walk to their friend's house, to play hockey in the street. They're afraid that they have diseases, that some of those can spread to humans and become another safety risk. And there's a lack of resources for a lot of First Nations.
Yep, for sure. And can you also explain what some of the solutions are to address these issues and how First Nations can access help?
I'm a big fan of community-led programs, so that's nations looking at their populations for both dogs and people and bringing in things like pet policies and bylaws that they can enforce to make sure that the dogs are healthy, that they're spayed and neutered and they're not breeding, that maybe some nations have the ability to make sure that the dogs are not free roaming, and there's also other ways to make sure that a community is safe in a free roaming dog community.
Katie or Tanisha, can you also explain how big of an issue this is right across our country? You know, I go to many First Nations over in my career, and I've seen a lot of dogs at some First Nations, and some there's barely to little any dogs running around. So, you know, some First Nations have programs and some don't.
I think the biggest thing for the nations that do have programs is they have some amazing community people who just banded together and said, you know, we want change, we want safety, we want to do something, we want to lead this for our community. And those community members have taken ideas from non-Indigenous communities and just ran with it.
And I think it's really important to note that someone who's not Indigenous, that's what we love to see as outsiders, are community members that are willing to take the first step and then let us provide the resources from an outside support to gain the knowledge and strength within so we can support community-led programs.
For any First Nations or chief and councils out there who may be seeing this, do you have a message for them in terms of how they can reach out and find out more information?
I think the best thing that chief and council can do is reach out to organizations that are local to them that have a program, whether that's Indigenous-led or non-Indigenous-led, and just ask for support. There's a lot of places out there and rescues and organizations that would love to sit down with chief and council and talk about what their biggest struggles are and then help put a plan in place that's actually something that is sustainable. And I think that's the big thing here. It's these programs that we bring in to First Nations have to be sustainable for the community.
And my last question, Katie, for those that are interested in this conference in Winnipeg for Saturday and Sunday this weekend and want to join, can they still sign up and go?
Absolutely. Also, we know that the Manitowoc Festival is going on right now. So anybody that wants to pop over to the Rez Dog Conference, they just have to show their pass and they're able to come in and join us. But there is still registrations if people want to come. They can just reach out to our social media page, private message us, or call us, and we'll be happy to accept them.
Katie and Tanisha, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.